Welcome back to the Infamous Project, guys. And I figured it was only necessary to do a year in review of 2020. I know sometimes videos like these are a little cliche. I know when I watch episodes of other shows on TV and they always do the recap stuff, I'm not always the biggest fan of those. So I am going to keep it short and sweet, because my intention isn't to only make this about a recap of 2020, which I think is pretty important at the end of the day. I think it's important to discuss what's coming for 2021. So first things first, if we rewind back to 2020, at the beginning, we didn't expect the world to get turned upside down the way that it did. But at the same time, I did have a plan, and I kind of was able to execute that plan a little earlier than I had hoped, but everything was good. And that actually started off with me leaving the Middle East and leaving my corporate job in Dubai. So last year in 2019, I kind of hinted towards wanting to do the whole career, leaving the corporate world shift. And I shared some of that information in some of my videos then. Furthermore, you would have seen my episode on why I'm leaving Dubai. So that put me back into Canada at the beginning of June. I had to do my 2 weeks of quarantining. And from there, I was able to get my hands dirty and grease under my fingernails again and jump right into my passion of Foxbody Mustangs. Let's take a look at some of the Fox bodies and some of the projects that have got accomplished in the second half of 2020 alone. I hope you enjoyed the few of the clips. I was actually surprised when I started writing down all of the different cars that I've gone through essentially since I returned in June. And everything from that mint 93 roller, the black coupe that ended up going to Kuwait. That was a super cool project, trying to keep originality, trying to make sure that we weren't modifying anything when the car had been so modified, and then making sure that it looked and felt the part of that clean mint original paint and everything else. Pretty good result in the end, one that actually got that car bought and sold without even advertising. That car was actually supposed to go on Bring a Trailer, which I still have a credit with them, and it never made it there. I got a guy who saw my YouTube channel and made the offer, and off to Kuwait the car went. It recently arrived there, so I'm sure there's going to be more updates from that buyer. We had the 1993 limited edition yellow convertible nicknamed Lemon Drop, and that was a project that actually didn't go so well because I stripped the car down, and that's about as far as I got. So as we all know with projects, and I did a video on buying project cars and how they can just sort of end up sitting and getting pushed aside. And admittedly, that's exactly what happened with No Foxtoberfest this year. The priorities kind of changed because there was a lot of other cars that came out of nowhere and in the pipeline. So another one would be the little coupe that could, the other black coupe. So we were demodifying that one, putting it more towards stock. That one I didn't even get to complete that project. There was a guy looking for a coupe and he reached out to me. We struck a deal and didn't get to enjoy the car. Didn't even get to give it a shakedown. Guy came, put it on a trailer, and off he went. So moving along, sometimes building relationships and always keeping in touch with as many people as I meet, which I like to do. I like to answer everybody who comments, who emails, who reaches out. I take pride in being able to give everyone that little bit of my time as much as I can, because I know how important that is to me. When I reach out to someone, and there's been some really great guys out there that have done it, and I want to just kind of follow that model. I think it's only fair, as a content creator, as an enthusiast, and as someone with what I'd like to think a little bit more experience these days, being able to share that information with those that are looking to get more involved or looking to get questions answered, so on and so forth. So 2 major contacts reached out this year. One was to actually get the SN95 DECH car, which I'm sure you guys have seen the videos on that one. That has been 3-4 years in the making, and finally managed to secure that jelly bean of a DECH car.
Sorry!
So moving on to another DECH car, the one sitting right here next to me. What an amazing, it wasn't really a find, but it was an amazing connection that I made last year, and the owner reached out and struck a deal for this car. So funny thing about this car is it's actually been sold twice in theory. I've had 2 gentlemen that seemed super serious. We went through build details, full information, budgets, everything else. And at the end of the day, both of them fell through. So part of me wants to keep this car. Part of me wants to potentially capitalize on it at the same time. But it is here, it is available. If somebody out there is looking for a very, very well documented car that was built by DECH, it's not a numbered car, but it has a full folder of receipts from DECH Motorsport back in the day. This is a car to build. There's no rust on here. It's super clean, and I would love to go all the way with this car. So if you're interested, be sure to reach out. This one is on the list for the taking. All these cars that I've got to play with or work on and all these other things, what about the ones that I got to drive? And you know what? I didn't really get to drive that many Foxbodies this year. I have all of my Foxbody collection that's sitting down in Texas, and that might be another video for you guys, because a lot of you are confused. Do you live in Canada? Do you live in Texas? Where are you based out of? Well, right now I am in Ontario, Canada, for probably into the better part of 2021. I do have my property in my shop down in Texas that I'm hoping to get down to. It's been a full year since I've even been there or seen my cars. So thankfully, I have a really good friend who goes once a month. He starts everything up, makes sure that everything moves around. He's sort of like my automotive curator.
Out doing this terrible driving today for my buddy Chris at the Infamous Project. Probably one of the coolest cars I've ever gotten the chance to ride and enjoy. Gonna get dark and cold on these cars. Hopefully get a few details in, some cleaning.
Big shout out to you, Charles, and thank you so much for doing that. I know you sort of enjoy it too at the same time. So there's all those cars, couldn't drive them. A lot of these other cars, I was too busy working on them, didn't get to drive them, but there was one, the 1993 Helion Turboed Coupe. Really impressed me. I didn't think I'd be a big turbo guy. Another deal from, being in communication, being in touch with somebody for the better part of a year turned into a deal, which I picked that car up and put it on the street, and I drove it around daily for probably a solid month and a half. And what an awesome little car to drive around in. So what happened to that car? Well, it resulted in me getting this 1990 GT. This has been a super cool project as well in many ways, as we touched, everything from drivetrain right into full interior restoration on this car. It's been a really fun time. Unfortunately, just because the weather had changed, I didn't get too much time to enjoy and drive it on the streets, although did get it done in time to enjoy it one day legally on the road, and took it out and about. Now it's sitting, gonna get its last little bit of detail, and it's gonna be put away for the winter. But I loved this project as a whole. It was probably one of my favorites, most likely because it's a car that I intend on driving. I wanna make this car my daily driver next year in 2021. This car isn't perfect. It's got a lot of little flaws, but it's that perfect daily driver. It's clean, it looks mean, it's aggressive, got the suspension sitting right. It's got a all right, mildly modified motor that we found, the mystery motor, and then we did that whole interior setup. So moving along the list here that I've got, I keep referencing my phone because there is a lot of information to remember about 2020, is the 88 Super Noof. Barn find car. Now there's been a lot of argument online about, it wasn't a real barn find. Okay, well, call it clickbait, if you will. The car was literally found in a barn. It had been sitting there for 2 years straight. Call it what you want. Still an amazing car to find, amazing story. That one as well is tucked away, and I'm hoping, I have a very close friend of mine that he loves the color. He's always loved that color. And it's actually sitting at his property for the winter time, and I'm convincing him that that might be the right car for him. And if it is, then we'll definitely see more of that car and things that he's going to do to modify it. So let's see what happens with that one. Moving on to some projects now that weren't mine directly, but did involve some Fox bodies. We had a couple of real good videos. We had the 86 SVO Mustang that came through a friend of mine who he had a former colleague that he worked with and had the car since new, and didn't really know if that guy wanted me to potentially restore it. That's the route that he wanted to go. Then he changed his mind and he just wanted to sell it, which then my cousin Jeffrey ended up picking up the car. We got it running, and so far he's actually been doing quite a bit of work. He's pulled the suspension all apart, he's pulled all the fuel system out, he's cleaning everything up, and he's hoping to get that on the road for the springtime. And that way he's going to enjoy the car for the year and then decide if he wants to go into a full restoration with it. Another one that isn't mine is that original Foxbody shell that was never fully assembled from the factory that myself, Mr. Notorious, and my cousin went to go look at last year. And Notorious picked up the car and actually made quite a bit of headway with it later in 2020. So there is a video for that. He's busy setting up his YouTube channel and getting a lot of his content edited. So once that is all ready and he's in a position, I will drop my video and you guys will be able to see some of the work that was done to that car. Now, if you see behind me is the mint original 1990 Oxford White Coupe that I sourced out and found for a good friend of mine in Florida late in the summer, and just finished doing the full DECH kit install on that. Turned out beautifully. So this car will be heading down to Florida, where the owner will take the further modifications into his own hands, really hoping that he lowers this thing down and changes out the wheels. Just not a fan. So be sure to look out for that. We'll definitely be updating you on what happens with this 90 coupe. Another project that got worked on, speaking of installing DECH kits, was the GT hatchback that came into the shop pretty much when I first got back into the country. Pretty much a twin to this car right here, and cut all of those GT skirts off and ended up installing the DECH kit. So that was a nice little project, quick and easy. Customer super happy with that. He's hoping that we can do a DECH spoiler on the back for him. So that car might be back in the new year, so we'll be able to go through that and see what happens with that car. So finally, for 2021, what is going to happen? There's a few cars that you guys don't even know about. There is a white 88 coupe that has been sitting in Texas for a while, and I'm hoping to get to that one. There's also a 1993 Cobra that I picked up from the parts farm. Some of you guys online might have seen him listing that car up. Well, I was the lucky guy who bought it. This has sort of been my temporary Cobra fix, in terms of look and feel, but I do want to get another 93 Cobra. They're just going up in value. They're getting more and more rare, and this is a really good opportunity as it is a roller, but it does come with a Cobra drivetrain for me able to take the car, put my own touches on it, so that way, kind of has that infamous project personalization aspect to it. So I'm looking really forward to that. And most recently, I just picked up another coupe, a 1993 Calypso that is on loaded black interior, and it's a super clean car. So make sure you stay tuned for that. I literally just got the email saying that they are dispatching the truck to go get it. And car is super clean. It's got a Cobra IRS in the rear. It's got a Viper T56 transmission and a built 306 running a Phi-Tech standalone on it. So I'm super excited to get my hands on that. It's probably going to be more of a put back to stock project. And I'm thinking that IRS would probably work really, really well in the stocker vert and just be able to take that car to the next level in terms of lowness and quality of ride, so on and so forth. So really looking forward to that one. There's a couple other projects that are in the pipeline for 2021 that I'm not going to disclose right now. Got to leave some sort of suspense and hoping that you guys stay tuned in. So the big question here is, am I going to keep YouTubing in 2021? I'm not going to lie, it is a tremendous amount of work, working on the cars all day, and then going home and editing, going through content and footage. Any other of my fellow content creators that are out there, you guys understand how much work it takes. So it's really important that I thank you guys. I can't thank you enough for all of your support and everything else. I am going to keep YouTubing, keep doing this well into 2021. Sometimes I'm not as motivated, but I just like a project when you get to kind of that, you stall. And you just got to kind of keep pushing, keep turning things over and keep going. So you get that little bit of reward and recognition. And when I get those really good comments and feedback from you guys, it really motivates to keep me going. So I'm probably going to design some memberships through the channel, so that way any of you guys who do like my content a lot, I'll be offering some of the membership packages, because I do want to get back into a little bit more live streaming. I got some merchandise that's available that I would love to include in some of those packages, and then even potentially discounts on some other products. I do have the DECH kits available for purchase, and I do have some other exciting Infamous Project branded goods that I plan on releasing in 2021. So it's been an amazing ride. I can't even believe the amount of Fox bodies that I've gone through when you think about just June, even midway through June, because the first 2 weeks I was quarantining. So from June all the way now to December, it's amazing to reflect on it. So I just kind of wanted to share with you guys some of that reflection. I almost impressed myself. I'm not going to lie. The original Infamous Project was 2 cars, 3 months. Well, I think I've touched about 10 cars, if not more, indirectly in 6 months. So I think I'm doing pretty good. All your feedback, questions, comments, anything that you guys want to do, throw it at me. Thank you again for your support. Thank you guys for following. If you guys find my content interesting, be sure to share and spread the love. And I look forward to seeing you guys in 2021.